Phillip Hinchcliffe presents The Ghosts of Gralstead, The Devils of Armada.
This is not your world. Who are you?
Let him go, old woman!
Now, Leela, there's an alien invasion coming.
Hello and welcome YouTubers and Doctor Who fanatics to another Big Finish audio review. Today is actually the first review for 2015 and we're kickstarting it with the Phillip Hinchcliffe Presents box set, which features The Ghosts of Gralstead and The Devils of Armada, starring Tom Baker and Louise Jameson. Both of these stories are written by the magnificent Phillip Hinchcliffe and then adapted by Mark Platt. Yeah, it's been a while since I actually really wanted to review this set because it was wildly anticipated by loads of other people, including myself, because if we hear the word Phillip Hinchcliffe, you know, we think of the golden era of Doctor Who, so a lot of people have been really excited for this set. Yeah, the money is what pulled off me, but I managed to find it for a really good price for 35 quid, than 55 quid, so there's a massive price difference by there. And that's how I got it, at a convention in Cardiff for £35, and I'm glad I actually did pick it up. So first, let's take a look at the cover art. So the cover art is actually pretty simple, actually. We have Tom Baker as the Doctor here, Louise Jameson as Leela, and I believe that's Gralstead in the background, the house Gralstead. I believe it was a hospital, I can't really remember, but I'm just going to guess it's Gralstead. With thunder and lightning there and the moon as well. Very a gothic horror sort of cover. It's a very thick box set it is. There's the side, has the number 1 there, so it does, you know, intrigue me. And then we have the back, and these are information of both the stories. By then, I will put this in the description because the video will be too long to upload and render. So I'll put both these symbolices in the description down below. And this set also contains a special bonus CD featuring interviews and with the cast and crew. Sorry. And here we have all of them. So yeah, it's a 5-disc box set. So that's why it costs so much on the Big Finish website. So now that was a look at the set of how it's presented. Now we go for the first story in the set, which is The Ghosts of Gralstead. So we have disc 1, which is part 1 and part 2. I'm just going to turn it around by here to show you what it looks like as well. Disc 2, which is part 3 and 4, again with some fantastic cover art as well. Again, you can flip it over if you desire. I forgot to take it out by there. Or when you take out the thing, it would just feature Tom Baker Adventures. The disc 1 features the Lost Stories box set for the Fourth Doctor adventure, if you didn't know. And sadly, that is broken, unfortunately, which is quite sad. And then there's season 2 of it as well. And with all the cover arts, it will feature behind the scenes with the pictures of the cast featured in the story. So that was just a little look at the Ghosts of Gralstead discs. Now I'm going to give you my thoughts on the Ghosts of Gralstead. So, my overall thoughts and opinions on the Ghosts of Gralstead. The Ghosts of Gralstead is an absolutely fantastic gothic horror story with Hammer House of Horror styles as well. Feeling a lot like the talents of Wayne Cheyenne and Jago and Lightfoot scripts as well. So that will definitely intrigue some people into getting this set. Now, I'm going to review this a bit differently, because it's going to be hard to just say everything in just one go. I'm just going to go through it by parts and see what I covered for advantages and disadvantages. So, with episode 1, it has an absolutely fantastic introduction to the supporting characters, including their roles playing in the story, creepy music, and in the setting of the Gralstead House. It just reminds you of a Hammer House of Horror sort of story as well. You know, a creepy house, there's a curse going on, but it's much more deeper than just a curse in a house. It's much more developing. That's what you think it is. It's just like some sort of curse in a house and that's it. But it definitely is really good where it just progresses into something even more bigger. The house shaking when the evil stirs is a really nice addition into the story. Yeah, as I said, Hammer House of Horror style scripts. Very creepy and gothic horror. Leela has great development, which links into season 3 where the Doctor teaches her. So yeah, it just links back really well for season 3, and has an absolutely fantastic cliffhanger where the darkness like awakes. All the Doctor and Leela and other characters. If I just turn it around, it's Professor Cedric. What's that word? Yeah, I was going to say Professor Kedrick, who owns Gralstead Manor. I think that's the person as well, who has the daughter as well. She acts very weird for some reason as well, which I won't say why, but again, her character plays a big part of the story as well. And very interesting. It makes you believe. It makes the listener think, what's up with her character? She's acting very weird for some reason. And yeah, absolutely fantastic cliffhanger where it just tests all the characters' fears in the Gralstead house. as well. They call it the family curse of the people who live in Gralstead, but again, it's much more than that. So now episode 2, which was also very good, we have Leela, well, these are the positives, which had a relationship with another hunter similar to herself, so that's a pretty interesting chemistry going around with those two characters. I forgot the name, but I think he's a servant at Gralstead, originally from Africa as well, so that's pretty interesting chemistry. Very creepy and quiet streets in the Victorian, in the 1800s, being very creepy moments, which I do really like. Supporting characters have growing and stronger written, especially the person who owns Gralstead. You have fantastic character development as well. We have two people mysteriously taking or doing body snatching. Again, very ties into the story when it progresses. The ambience is very unique when they are getting hunted by some of the enemies in the story. It's like a maraca, but it's very distorted. Very creepy and unique sort of ambience, definitely. But unfortunately, the pace in episode 2 is a little more slower than episode 1. Because episode 1, it was like, boom, it's so intriguing what's happening, and there's so many things need to be explained, and it does do that as it goes along. It just makes the listener think, what the hell is going on, but I want to know and carry on. But episode 2, doesn't say any of those questions yet, but the body snatching sort of does, but still needs to carry on. But absolutely fantastic part to it. So now we go on to part 3 as well, episode 3. A lot of gothic horror sort of stuff in this one, with coffins and bones. It's just, all that snazzy stuff. We love it. Fantastic sound designs in the background to make you feel that there's actually a parade going on where there actually was an actual one actually going on. Yeah, I always say, well, I actually should do this for episode 3. Yeah, sound design and the soundscape is absolutely fantastic. Always, the Professor is an absolutely fantastic character who says the one who says the family curse, but again, it's a lot more than that, and again, it makes the listener really do think what the hell's going on. Victorian drama but yes, the thing which unfortunately happens with episode 3, a lot more alien elements happen to it, and body snatches as well, which I do like. Do have a purpose with Dr. Edwards, which is another character introduced as well, who I won't see what he does, but let's say he's interested in some sort of force. That's all we get into Dr. Edwards as well, who is the brother of the professor who owns Gralstead. Very interesting relationships between the two brothers as well, very good. But unfortunately, it does lose its creepiness in a little bit, where it goes a little more alien a little bit. But still, I find it extremely morbid in some places. I believe, I remember Mordrega, the enemy in this story, completely ripping someone to pieces in that story, like flesh, and there's only like bones left. Pretty morbid stuff it is in episode 3. Episode 4, we have Leela having very strong character development to actually feel fear with the dark entity known as Mordrega. Very interesting stuff. We actually see Leela fear. Actually, yeah, fear. Leela's like this one, a ruthless, fearless sort of warrior, but the enemy in this, the Ghost of Gralstead, Mordrega, is actually a very dark and evil force as well. But Leela says that there's another side to Mordrega, even more darker within her soul. Really interesting stuff there. Dr. Edwards' character starts to become more darker, but somehow controlled. Yeah, if you have listened to this, you know what I'm talking about, but you haven't, then you have to do a bit of thinking. And it is extremely morbid and disgusting events happen, I would say, in part 4. I will not spoil what happens, but it's extremely disgusting as well. I would not recommend any young listeners take this one as a shot, because it's quite morbid in some places. Episode 5, I got a lot to say about this one, to be honest. Leela's fears are tested to the max, and does something very surprising when Mordrega gets more intelligence and, controls Leela's mind, and something quite surprising happens in that one as well. Very interesting stuff happens in that one. But episode 5, they actually leave in the area of in Victorian London, and they actually go to Africa, which does change the elements and the flow of the story as well. Where they see the silver link. I keep forgetting to do this, but it's episode 5 now. There we go. Yeah, they find like a silver link of the part of the crown, which has absolutely humongous powers, which Mordrega wants to get her hands on. Yeah, very, very powerful stuff right by there in episode 5. But unfortunately, it is the weakest part in my opinion, because it does sort of lose the flow of the story for me, personally. when they go to Africa for some reason, but still the reasons which tie in that they are going to Africa makes sense. But I wish they just stayed in Victorian London, just give in that misty Victorian London and just get so much creeps to the listener. But when they go to Africa, it's not that creepy, to be honest. It just loses its creepiness factor. And then episode 6, when they return to London, it's different and a very darker atmosphere. And that makes an improvement for when they actually do go to Africa, because when they return to Victorian London, I think it's after a couple of months or weeks, I can't remember. But yeah, it's a lot more different. It's a very darker atmosphere, a different smell, like a smell of darkness and hatred everywhere. Really good. And the listener is in a thinking mood of what's happened? What's happened to London? The whole atmosphere is different. The streets are quiet. Let's get rid of that. The streets are darker. Again, it brings them really, makes the listener to a thinking mood. And then Mordrega gets very intimidating in this one. As the story progresses, Mordrega gets more powerful. She does, and her voice starts to become really distorted and demonic and changing and more powerful, and some really strong stuff happens with that as well. And Leela actually fears Mordrega, even though she likes to think she doesn't, but Mordrega can go right into her mind and completely toy with it as much as ever. So my overall conclusions to the Ghosts of Gralstead: overall, it's an absolutely fantastic gothic horror story with body snatching going on, coffins, bones, creepy houses, creepy floors, and very distorted music in the background. Overall, an absolutely fantastic story. I do absolutely love this one. Unfortunately, with the negatives, I'm not a big fan of episode 5, to be honest, when they go to a completely different area. But still, they go to this Africa for actual events. But overall, yeah, it's absolutely fantastic. Ghosts of Gralstead is one of the best Fourth Doctor stories to date, in my opinion. And I will probably give it, I'm thinking about a 9 out of 10 to the 9.5 area. You know, 10's a very hard rating to get for a story, but it's close, it is, absolutely. Yep, Ghosts of Gralstead, I don't know which one to rate, 9 or 9.5, it's somewhere around that area. Overall, fantastic. So now we move on to the second and the last story of the set, which is the Devils Armada. So we have the Devils Armada, we have disc 1, which is part 1 and part 2. As you believe, this one is a 4-parter, while the other one is a 6-parter as well. I think the disc is broken for this one as well, unfortunately. So if we take it out, we have, just get it up, advertisements for season 3 of the Tom Baker adventures as well, which I would definitely recommend, because there's some really good ones in that season. As well, we have disc 2. I love the cover art, and that sparks horror fan art right by there. And I love this cover art. It's just brilliant, in my opinion. And this one's actually a double disc, and if you turn it around, we have behind the scenes documentary by there, and we have the next installment, which will see Tom Baker's Doctor and Lala Ward on a Big Finish audio for the first time, I believe. So that's going to be pretty cool. I have pre-ordered a limited collector's edition on Amazon for £26. It's £40 on the Big Finish website, but it's £26 on Amazon, and it's the #1 seller. I definitely recommend it before the limited edition goes out. But yeah, now we're going to go to my opinions on the Devils Armada. To my overall thoughts and opinions on the Devils Armada is another brilliant gothic, I wouldn't say it's horror though, it's a very gothic tone story, I would say, but I wouldn't call it a horror story. More of a Ghosts of Gralstead is a little bit more like that. But anyway, that doesn't mean it's a bad story. It's an absolutely fantastic one yet again. And we're going to go through its positives of the story. For episode 1, the Fourth Doctor is showing very strong and aggressive tones. I think I would say that Tom Baker's is absolutely best performance in this story than any other story that he's done for Big Finish. He really puts an absolutely great performance on this one. Best performance from Tom Baker so far in any audio. He is just magnificent in this one. He sounds like Tom Baker himself. He's actually shouting. He's really aggressive in this one. Where the Devil's Armada is set in not very of a nice time. It isn't. Yeah, gothic elements in this story, as I said. Again, all characters. Again, Leela showing fear and no explanation whatsoever, but it is now explained in the story. Very interesting enemies in this one as well, where they laugh and mock you in the background. Is a really nice addition to the story as well. Again, Leela both shows fear in this story, that there are curses out there which can make you fear even Leela, who's very ruthless as well. And yeah, the set, you know, it really feels like it's set in the 1600 again. Big Finish are always fantastic with their set design and soundscape, and it sparks 1600, one of the best historicals ever. I love it in part 1, I believe, or the ending of a cliffhanger. Part to the devil in this is like 3 knocks. If you know what 3 knocks is, like, it's the sign of the devil. When I hear 3 knocks, it just sparks us to the devil, it does, and I absolutely love it. So yeah, absolutely fantastic stuff in part 1, episode 1. Nothing wrong with it whatsoever. Extremely clean, extremely engaging, and fantastic. Episode 2, and then the music is really creepy, it is. Another one, a very chilling enemy putting the event in a dark and torturous event. Episode 2. Now this is where the stuff gets really gritty, but Tom Baker looks like he sounds like he's actually getting tortured, and he is, by one of the characters, which I will not say. Anyway, I'll just leave that as a secret for you. But he actually gets tortured in this story. The enemy in this, in the background, in his mind, is laughing at him and mocking him, which is a really nice addition to the story. And, you know, it's probably one of the worst things ever. If you had something in your mind, if you were insane, you're getting tortured, and you hear something in your mind laughing at you and mocking you, it's, again, an absolutely fantastic written story for a script, absolutely. So now we're going on to episode 3, so I'm going to do this now. Episode 3 is like a going into war sort of feeling, like an invasion is just going to happen. Absolutely love it. The Fourth Doctor written quite comedic in episode 3 for some reason. You know, Tom Baker's Doctor always has a bit of comedic-ism into his story as well, but very aggressive. And also Tom Baker, as the Doctor, did a brilliant speech to defend England from the invasion. Absolutely fantastic that was. And episode 3 was also very good as well. And episode 4 was absolutely superb with battle sequences like ships attacking each other as well. Just like a massive battle it is. I absolutely love part 4. It's absolutely brilliant for the Devils of Armada. And really things at the end of the Devils of Armada for episode 4 really takes the turn for the worse. Well, all these characters are trying to, you know, stand against each other as well, with a very good enemy in this story has a very demonic and low voice, and the Doctor shouting and being aggressive, and I love it. Just the enemy just laughs at him, just like, you're nothing, your words do not define me, like that. Just a really powerful enemy in the story. So in conclusion, the Devils Armada is possibly one of the best Fourth Doctor adventures ever, which I do absolutely enjoy. Nothing wrong with it in my opinion, absolutely nothing. I really enjoyed this story. I've listened to it for a second time and I love it. And again, I rate it in the stage of a 9 out of 10 to the 9.5. I'm probably leading a little bit more to a 9.5, but personally, I don't know which one I prefer. Ghosts of Gralstead or the Devils Armada. I really do not know which one I prefer, because they're both fantastic. I'm going to have to do a re-listen to make a choice. So now we can come into conclusion to the entire box set itself. The Phillip Hinchcliffe box set is one of the best releases that Big Finish are ever done. Really gothic elements into it. Ghosts leads to more to the horror sort of side. Devil's Armada feels like a massive invasion going on and feels more pure historic. Well, it's actually not pure historic, but it's historic with some fantastic tweaks to it. Overall, I would rate this set a 9.5 out of 10. Absolutely fantastic. If you have not got it, it's definitely cheaper to get it on Amazon for 30 quid. I've seen this around for 30 quid. If you have not got it, then I definitely recommend you get it. If anyone's got it, I would definitely see people rating this story in the 9 out of 10 area, definitely. Because none of these stories are bad. As I said, they do have the negatives, but Devil's Armada, I personally don't see it, but, you know, I love gothic horror. That's why it probably puts the two stories against each other. I've seen some reviews which people prefer the Ghosts of Gralstead. I've seen some other reviews which people prefer the Devils Armada. They're both brilliant stories in my opinion, and they have a lot of competition between each other. So thank you very much for watching the review of the Phillip Hinchcliffe Presents box set. My next review, I'll be looking at my requested reviews, starting with Moonflesh. So have a good one.